Hello everybody, Lake Station Community Advocate back for part 3 of Town of the City of Debts, or whatever you want to call it. But I want to ask you a question. Temporal discounting, as in my first video, basically it's you want the immediate reward instead of working for it and having it at the end, right? So let's think of a poison gift. If anybody's ever bought a car, the guy's like, oh yeah, hey man, it's fine, there's nothing, no codes, do. You drive it around for a couple days and then all these codes ping off like Christmas lights on your dashboard, right? And you went into debt buying the car and now you need to put other parts into the car and you don't have the money. So eventually the car runs in shambles and falls apart and eventually stops on you, and it's just a matter of time before it does. But you only have so long to drive on a vehicle that needs to have emissioned and licensed, bonded, and insured for your car. Well, not bonded, but, licensed and plated. Well, think of it this way. You buy a mansion. And that mansion is, we'll call it new growth, because it's new growth in your life. You got big, you wanted to buy a house, a big mansion, but there's infrastructure, and that's old infrastructure. You want to put new, but you ain't got the money no more because you spent all your money buying that mansion. So that old debt or that infrastructure still needs to be fixed and maintained, and those debts are just waiting to be managed. But instead of that, you hire a pool boy that you already didn't have money for, and you have to maintain your pool. But here's another question. How do you pay for the heating bills and you're already broke paying for old infrastructures, right? So what do? Get a credit card? You go get a loan, you refinance? What do you do? So either way, you're adding to the existing debts that you already have within your home. The same thing goes within a town. So you have infrastructure. That original infrastructure needs maintained. We all talk about in our town about the old water lines, the streets, the infrastructures are tore up, they're bad, and they need to be replaced. How are you going to pay for those, right? And here's the thing is, so you have a certain amount of residents. Those residents, at one time, they were able to make those bills. Unfortunately, because population growth and things like that, things have changed. So now you have an excess of old infrastructure, new infrastructure, because you have new developments, and the tax income bracket isn't making enough to pay any of this off. So what happens? Your town goes and gets a loan. They borrow money, they get private investors, whatever the case is, they go into debt even farther to help pay for some of those things. While it looks like things are truly being fixed and there's new growth in town because we put up new developments and new homes everywhere, that's not real new growth. That's more just new debt. That's called the illusion of wealth. Okay, and I talked about that in my first 2 videos. And so the same happens with our towns, right? So the administration, the mayors, they come into office, things that are passed on. But here's where it becomes an issue with the new administration and new mayors, right? And the new leadership is they quickly want to make themselves known. So what do? They go out, they get loans, they do this. They make it look like there's new growth, when really it's just new debt. So that's pretty much what happens. But here's what goes on. The town gets private investors to build new plots, new empty lots, new neighborhoods within plots of woods to bring in new taxes. We need taxes. Remember what I said. We have to invest to grow, otherwise we die. Right? So no, that's a lie. We've been conditioned to believe that. And as human beings, we've been conditioned because of temporal discounting that we accept seeing the new growth, even if it is new debt, whether we accept it or not. And that is what happens. So here's what happens. New investor comes in. He wants to put in 50 new homes in a section of woods. The community around, they're already set on a set income, paying their taxes. They're comfortably living. They're able to do that. Some of them, not so much. You put in 50 new homes, their taxes skyrocket. You just moved out all those people out of your town because they can't pay. Now you have less income coming into your community that's not actually going to pay for the new infrastructure of the new community, because let's face it, the investor is going to come in, the developer is going to come in, he's going to build that new town, that new portion of the town or that neighborhood, right? He's going to come in, he's going to get his money, and he's going to hightail it. The city gets stuck with the infrastructure maintenancing. Who gets stuck paying for that? The residents. And if the residents are already struggling to pay for the infrastructure they have, why would you go get a credit card, get new debt, and just load it on top? It doesn't make sense to continue this cycle of debt. And of course, it's, well, we got to because we got bills to pay. Well, something's got to give. And so we have generations of administrations and mayors and things like that who continually spiral the same issues and the same problems. And it continues passed down. And now even new mayors and new administrations do the same thing. That is not the way of life. That is not how you get out of debt. And anybody who knows this, if you've ever bought a car, if you've ever bought a home, and you've successfully done it, you know that. But if your town is already struggling and residents are having a hard enough time paying for the infrastructure and the debts with the taxes they have, here's what happens. You put in another new neighborhood, they're still struggling to pay, and you're not making the amount of money that you thought you were going to make on income, so something's going to fall apart, and it's just a matter of due time. It is a matter of, you know what, when. It's not if, it's going to happen, it's just a matter of when. And like I said, new neighborhoods and new buildings and new developments look like new growth. That's just new debt. Because like I said, the city and the residents get stuck paying for those things. Basically, you're stealing from Peter to pay Paul, and the only ones that suffer are the people in the community because no one has any money. They're just carrying more debt. Basically, here's an example. You have a neighborhood, let's say 20, 30 homes. These people are on set incomes. They're paying their taxes. They really can't afford much more than that. They're already struggling. And across the street, there's a cluster of woods. Those woods, the land developer wants to come in, and the town administration, I should say, not the residents, but the town administration wants to build a new neighborhood there. And so the developer comes in, they build a new neighborhood, the sewers, the electric, the water, all of the amenities and all those things. They have to put in curbs, they have to put in sidewalks, they got to put in streets, and they got to maintain this stuff throughout years to come. But when they put in those new homes, those 40, 50 new homes, whatever the case is, you priced the older homes and those residents out of the neighborhood, out of town. So did you really make the tax money you thought you were going to make? No. So let's say you brought in $30,000 with your new development. You brought in $30,000 worth of new taxes. But you ran off the 20 or 30 people who brought in you $60,000 of yearly taxes. So explain to me where the growth is. And this type of development pattern actually weakens towns because it costs more to maintain the new developments, the new roads, and all of that, and the existing, than what is actually made through taxes by the new development and what's existing. So, you get what I'm saying? But there are better ways for our town to do better business, to be able to climb out of the debts, and how to manage these things. And if you stay with me, you'll probably be learning that. Go through some of my other videos. I'm the Lake Station Community Advocate. Go check out some of my other stuff. Check out Lake Station Strong Towns Collective on Facebook and our website that's on there. And obviously, you're here watching TikTok. So, yeah, be the change you want to be the change you want to see. Be an eagle, don't be a crow. Challenge the status quo, because if you don't, you never know what you can achieve on your own and what you can achieve with a group of people for your community, with your community, and for the long haul. Until next time.